This episode of Tales from the Lot is sponsored by ShakedownT-shirts.com with unique lot-style t-shirts, license plate frames, coffee mugs, and all sorts of things for Grateful Dead, Fish, Zappa, Panic, and more. ShakedownT-shirts.com, where all U.S. orders over $35 ship free. And just for Tales from the Lot listeners, use the code LOT20 for 20% off of any order. That's LOT20. Tales from the Lot, Truckin Through Time, Part 4. Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Will. And if you've been riding with us through the Truckin Through Time series, you know we've already survived the 60s and the 70s, but now we're pulling into the 80s, specifically the years 1980 through 1984. This is an era that a lot of folks overlook, or they treat it like the awkward teenage years of the band. But for me, the early 80s are fascinating. It's the era where the Dead became an industry. By the time I caught my shows in the 90s, the infrastructure was already set in stone. But in 1980, they were still building the walls of the city. The bus wasn't just rolling anymore. It had traffic patterns, a mailing list. It had a parking lot economy that could rival a small European nation. It's also the era where Brent Mydland officially became the secret sauce and where the fans became more organized than the people running the band. So grab your patchouli, check your hair wrap. Let's dive into the years where the Dead traded their cowboy hats for synthesizers, and the lot became a way of life. We kick things off in 1980, and the big story is Brent. Now, everyone knows the keyboard curse. It's like being the drummer of Spinal Tap. But Brent wasn't just a replacement for Keith. He was a spark plug. By 1980, he'd been in the band for a year, and the sound was shifting. He brought those high, soulful harmonies that gave Jerry a break, and he brought a toy box of new sounds. Suddenly, space didn't just sound like a malfunctioning radio. It sounded like an alien invasion. For the fans, 1980 was the year of the residencies. Think about the Warfield in San Francisco and Radio City Music Hall in New York. 15 nights each. They did these 3-set shows, one acoustic and then 2 electric sets. This wasn't just going to a concert. This was an expedition. And then, by 1981, the tape trading network was essentially the Deadheads' peer-reviewed journalism. If a show was hot on Friday, the journalists had the tapes circulating by Tuesday. The Heads were becoming a self-sustaining ecosystem. You started seeing the traveling family really organize. People had specific jobs. You had the cooks, the crystal sellers, the guys who could fix a Volkswagen bus with a paperclip and a piece of gum. The lot was becoming a mini city, and let's be honest, in 1981, the Dead were probably the only thing in America that still felt like the 60s. Even if the clothes were getting a little more synthetic. Moving into 82 and 83, the touring intensity goes through the roof. The band is a well-oiled machine. The set list started to get a little more structured. You knew you were getting 2 sets. Drums and space was your window to find a bathroom or a snack. But even as the structures tightened, the demand was exploding. This is where the Deadhead identity really became a generational thing. You had the old guards from the 60s mixing with all the new heads coming into the scene. The parking lot was evolving into what we recognize as Shakedown Street now. It wasn't just a few people selling stickers anymore. It was a full-blown bazaar. The lot had better food than the venues. You could get a gourmet burrito, a hand-dyed shirt, and a lecture on Jerry's guitar tone, all within 20 feet of each other before the show started. And this is the era where the rituals solidified: the miracle finger, the set list guessing, the tape tree hierarchy. By the time I was seeing the band, these were ancient laws. But in 83, they were fresh codes of the road.
Do you suffer from adult onset responsibility? Have you recently found yourself saying things like, "I should probably refinance that," or "Let's leave before the encore to beat traffic," or even worse, "I don't know if I can stand for 3 hours." You may be experiencing a condition known as concert memory decline. Fortunately, there's hope. Introducing Set 1, the first prescription medication specifically designed to recreate the feeling of hearing the first notes of the first set of a Grateful Dead concert. Set 1 is clinically proven to temporarily restore childlike excitement, spontaneous smiling, excessive high-fiving, unreasonable optimism. Some patients experienced side effects including increased appreciation for sunsets, calling old friends, uncontrollable head nodding, and occasionally purchasing concert tickets you absolutely cannot afford. Do not take Set 1 if you are currently operating heavy machinery, balancing your checkbook, or attempting to remain cynical. Set 1, because nobody should have to remember what that feeling was like when they could feel it again today. Ask your doctor if Set 1 is right for you.
Set 1 may cause excessive happiness, sudden road trips, renewed faith in humanity, spontaneous hugs, dancing, smiling, optimism, generosity, and the urge to tell complete strangers about a show you attended in 1994. If your joy lasts more than 4 hours, congratulations, you're doing great.
Then we hit 1984. And this is a tough year to talk about, but it is essential. If you listen to the tapes from 84, they're, let's call them, unpredictable. The strain of the road was showing. Jerry's health was becoming a real concern for anyone paying attention. The voice was getting raspier, the tempos were slowing down, and some nights it felt like the band was dragging a heavy anchor behind them. But here's the thing about Deadheads. We are the most loyal, delusional, and just beautiful fans on earth. In 84, the fans didn't walk away. They leaned in. The culture of you had to catch the good nights became an obsession. You'd sit through 3 okay shows just to catch that one morning dew where Jerry found the light. The tape traders, they were the keepers of the flame. They'd debate for hours. Yeah, the first set in Hartford was a train wreck, but did you hear the Scarlet Fire from the night before? They were preserving the golden versions even when the reality was getting a bit gray. The Dead were an institution now, but they were a fragile one. The contrast between the polished, synthesized Brent-era sound and the raw, sometimes shaky performances created this weird, magnetic tension. You never knew if you were going to get a masterpiece or a disaster. For a Deadhead, that was part of the thrill. It was honest. It was real. It wasn't a show in the corporate sense. It was a group of people trying to make it through a night together. Looking back on the early 80s, I see the bridge. It's the bridge between the hippie dream and the stadium reality. It's where the fans realized that the band might not last forever, so they better record everything, buy every ticket, and love every note, even when it was out of tune. They built a community that could survive anything, even the band's own struggles. By the end of 84, the Dead were once again exhausted, but the culture was indestructible. The lot was a fortress. The tapes were the currency, and the family was tighter than ever. Next time, we're heading into the late 80s. 1985 through 1989, we're talking about the Touch of Grey explosion. Jerry's comeback from the brink, and the moment the Dead became the biggest band in the world, for better or worse. It's the era where the lot went from a secret village to a global phenomenon. Thanks for hanging out with me today on Tales from the Lot. I'm Will. See you next time. Stay kind, friends. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please consider hitting the subscribe button and leaving a comment. Your feedback and engagement really goes a long way to supporting and growing the show. And really, this is your show with your stories. So if you have a story, or even a few of them from seeing Grateful Dead shows or experiences of how the band has impacted your life in some way, I'd love to hear from you and have you on. My email is will@talesfromthelot.org. Reach out. Or you could use the new Text Me feature that's in the show notes. You can easily reach out and connect with me directly that way. And don't forget to follow on Facebook for updates and exclusive content. And for those who prefer watching, full videos of every episode are available on my YouTube channel. So thanks again, and please be kind to yourself and others.